Welcome to Trail Mix, a fresh blend of what's happening at Rowan-Cabarrus Community College and in the world of higher education. It's everything you need to keep you informed, inspired, and as always, navigating forward. Welcome to this episode of Trail Mix. I'm your host, Carter Wingfield. Flying solo today. I don't have my fearless co-pilot Tabs with us today, but I do have two special guests from our Financial Aid and Veterans Affairs Department, Allison Scott and Michele Giron. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Carter. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Allison Scott, and I'm the Director of Financial Aid and Veterans Affairs here at Rowan-Cabarrus. And I have my friend here, Michele. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michele Giron. I'm a financial aid advisor. Thank you for having us today.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all. I think this is going to be a podcast just packed full of useful information. It's a topic that every student plays a big factor in why they decide to go on to college or to come back to college or whatever the reason might be. So I want to go ahead and just jump right into it and kind of help us talk a little bit about how we can understand financial aid, specifically at Rowan-Cabarrus a little bit better. Can y'all share a little bit from y'all's perspective of how financial aid supports students in like reducing financial barriers to help them achieve some of their educational goals?
Absolutely. So our goal here in the Financial Aid Office is to remove all financial barriers for students so that they can obtain the degree that they want to better their lives and better their future. So financial aid as a whole, our job here is to provide access for funding for students. We assist students in completing the application, which you will hear us frequently refer to as FAFSA. That stands for Free Application of Federal Student Aid. We help students complete that application, understand their eligibility requirements, and understand what opportunities that application opens up for them.
And this FAFSA form that they fill out, every student that applies fills out that form. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Or is it recommended, or is it part of the application process? How does that work?
It is part of the application process, and it's really the main step in the application process. Every grant and scholarship that we have here, even institutional funding, requires that application. So even if you do not qualify for federal or state funding, we always recommend that you complete the application for financial aid to see if you could potentially qualify for what we refer to as institutional funds. Those funds are specific to Rowan-Cabarrus Community College. They are not all need-based, but they do require that you do the financial aid application so that we can see the whole picture of what students have going on. One thing I do want to make sure that when you're filling out this application, it is free. We do find quite a few scam artists out. Yeah, where they're charging students to do the application. That's not necessary. So make sure that your application is free. You should not pay anyone to help you. We are here to help.
So if you find yourself on a website that is asking for money in exchange for filling out the FAFSA form, the FAFSA application, do not hit submit. Contact us. Let us know. You do not need to pay for this. It is free.
Right. I think it's FAFSA.com that's charging. There's also a fancy lady on Facebook who advertises that she'll do your application for you and charges a fee. So just know that none of that is necessary.
Yeah.
So you want to go to studentaid.gov is the correct website for that.
Okay. Good to know. So
just to follow up with what you were asking about how we help students, another benefit of contacting us in financial aid and partnering with us in financial aid is that we do provide financial literacy and financial counseling. So we are here to educate students about their financial responsibilities in college, to explain loan use and how that will impact you when you graduate. We want to make sure you get as many grants and scholarships as possible because those are what we consider free funds that you don't have to pay back. So we will educate students around loan borrowing. But please know one important thing about our college, we do not participate in the federal student loan program. So if you do take out a loan to come to Rowan-Cabarrus, you will have to take out a private loan, which is credit-based. But we do offer workshops and webinars. I think we have a class in Blackboard, actually, for students on financial literacy. So we just want to make sure that we provide everyone with all the resources they need to be successful.
Rough guess, what percentage of students do you think come in first time into y'all's office and know everything there is to know or know the basics of financial aid? Like how much educating goes on in those first couple of meetings?
I would say quite a lot. I help students a lot with filling out the FAFSA form. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of high school students who have just recently graduated or are getting ready to graduate. And one of the first things I like to ask them, the question is, do you know the difference between a loan and a grant? Yeah. And very rarely do students come in knowing the answer to that question. Yeah. And that goes back to when I was younger. I didn't know that answer either. I had to learn. So I like to go through the process, and then I ask them the next question, do you know why you're filling out the FAFSA? What is it? And sometimes they don't know that answer either. They said, oh, somebody just told me to fill it out. I need to fill it out because it's step 3 on the process on our webpage, and says, oh, it's part of the enrollment. And so I like to take time not only to get to know the students, but also to explain, this is why you're filling out the FAFSA. This is what it is. And this is a difference between the loan and a grant. And if the parent's there, sometimes I sit down with them and explain, once the FAFSA comes in, this is what it's going to look like. This is the difference between this is the difference between that. So we take a lot of time to try to get to know the student up front and do a lot of educating that way, one-on-one education. And actually that helps us build that relationship with the student from the get-go. That's a good, right.
I feel like when students are like looking at college, or potential students are looking at college, I should say, and they know they want college, but they don't know how they're going to pay for it or how they're going to fund it a lot of times, or what options they even have. So I think the education part of it, just helping them figure out, you have all these available options, what makes most sense for you.
Right. And, you know, a lot of our students find themselves in unique family situations, and they don't know that filling out this application is even possible for them, because maybe they don't have a relationship with parents due to substance abuse or incarceration or whatever the situation may be. Those people don't know that they still have options, and they can come in and meet with us in financial aid, and we have special conditions, requests, and things of that nature where we can help those students apply as independent students, so that nothing from their parents is required. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that. So I always just recommend, if you have a unique situation, come and see us in the financial aid office, and we usually can find a way to help you overcome that barrier and find an option for you, even if it doesn't follow the normal protocol for the application.
We also do, I think it's called Success on the Move.
Student Success on the Move, yes.
Success on the Move, where we go to high schools, different high schools throughout the year. And so we get to meet the high school students in their environment. Sometimes their parents are there as well. So we get to help them fill out the FAFSA form there on their high school turf, which is really exciting. And sometimes they may not even become a student at Rowan-Cabarrus initially, but we get to at the same time tell them all about Rowan-Cabarrus Community College and get to talk to them a lot about the difference in tuition rates, because sometimes even the students and parents don't know the difference between what the cost is going to be at a university versus what would happen if maybe I start off my university or college career at a tuition rate at community college level. So it's really exciting because we get to talk to them not only about financial aid, but your whole financial trajectory as a college student.
Yes, and that brings up a good point. Thank you, Michele. One of my favorite stories that I share is from Student Success on the Move, actually. And I was at one of our local high schools, and a student was kind of just hanging out at our table, and I got to talking to her about what her plans were after high school, and she said, oh, I'm just going to go to work. We can't afford for me to go to college. And I said, well, what do you mean? You know, there are so many financial opportunities out there. Let me help you. And she's like, no, my parents just said it's too expensive. So a lot of times it's about educating the student so they could educate their parents to help them to understand that there are so many options out there. The application is free. Just do the application to see what we can provide for that student. And then they have a whole new world of opportunity that they never thought was tangible for them. So that's so rewarding to see when we get into the high schools.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the rewards of being able to work in a community college and see some of those stories, is that realization that college is possible for me. Right. I didn't think it was. Now there's opportunities. There's departments like the financial aid department, and programs or applications like the FAFSA, where education is attainable for everybody. Right. It's just a matter of finding the right pieces and figuring out what method works to get you there. So what types of financial aid and support services are available for students? I mean, are they federal, state grants? What else?
So we participate with federal grants, state grants. We have institutional scholarships and grants. We have a lot of programs. So let me just highlight a few for you. Obviously, we do participate with the federal Pell Grant, which is probably the one most of you have heard of. But we also participate with the federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, which is often referred to as SEOG. That is a campus-based grant, which is need-based for our exceptional needs students. We also have what we call Next NC, which hopefully you've all heard of that as well. That is our state grant. So that is for North Carolina residents, students who take at least 6 hours. We do have a North Carolina child care grant program, which is awesome for our student parents so that they can focus on their education, and we pay the child care facility directly for child care while they're in class. We have a federal work study program, which is an awesome opportunity for students.
What is a work study program?
So work study is a part of your financial aid package, but it does give students the opportunity for hands-on work on campus, things like working in our welding lab or in the library or in student services. It is excellent for your resume when you graduate. It gives you real-life experience in the workforce. And we do actually have some employees hired full-time now that started in our work study program. But you do get paid for these positions, and you can use those funds to pay your tuition or fees or living expenses while you're in school. So it's a great program for our students.
Essentially, it sounds like a paid internship where you can get the experience in the program that you're interested in, but you also are financially benefited from it as well.
Right. Yes, it's excellent. So we do participate with that. We have many institutional scholarships that we partner with our foundation to award those students. And we work with our foundation director just to figure out, what do we need for our students? What are they struggling with right now? Is it transportation or housing or food insecurity, things of that nature? And sometimes we have the opportunity to create new funding programs internally at Rowan-Cabarrus to help our students, which I'm super grateful to have that opportunity to work with our foundation on things like that. We also have many veteran students here at Rowan-Cabarrus. So we do participate in Chapter 30, Chapter 31, which is Voc Rehab, Chapter 33, 35, and 1606. So we have quite a few programs here for our veteran students. And then last but not least is our alternative loan program. We don't push the alternative loan program much because, again, we want to make sure that we provide plenty of financial literacy for our students to understand what that looks like once you graduate. But there are some times that students just need a loan to be able to get through, and that's okay too. But again, that's a credit-based loan, and so you would apply with an outside agency, and then we award the funds here at Rowan-Cabarrus. So there are lots and lots of financial opportunities for you here. Also for basic needs, make sure you remember our food pantries and things like that on campus as well. So we're here to help with all the needs that these students have.
Yeah. I think as you've heard from previous podcasts we've done on the Wellness Center or scholarships, we have a lot of departments focused on just resources for students to be successful.
Right.
And this is one of them. Mm-hmm. And that is a lot of options for financial aid. I think people mostly think scholarships or student loans when you think about financial aid. You don't understand the whole gamut of what's available. So if you're dismayed, not knowing how you're going to pay for college, please fill out that FAFSA form. And you heard us,
Absolutely.
This isn't even all of them. This is just a few that we could highlight in this short time frame. The Next NC, that's been around for a couple of years now. The Next NC scholarship, 6 credit hours, which is most classes are 3 credit hour classes. So you're talking about 2 classes.
Right.
And do you know off the top of your head what those scholarships look like?
Well, it depends on the student need. So I can't tell you exactly how much each grant will be because it's based on the SAI, which is the Student Aid Index, which comes from your financial aid application.
Okay.
But what I will tell you is that it's for North Carolina residents, 6 credit hours or more. It's free money that doesn't have to be repaid. So it is grant money, which would reduce the reliance of student loans for students.
Yeah. So all this can be partnered with other opportunities, other scholarships, other grants.
Yes, and you can get the state grants in combination with the federal grants. So those are stackable, that you can get them at the same time.
So let's dig into the Pell Grant, the Next NC, just a little bit more and talk about how those programs specifically make college more affordable for eligible students.
So it makes it more affordable for students because it pays tuition, fees, books, supplies. If they have enough funds remaining, it can cover living expenses. Again, the grants are what we like to see the most for students because that is money that doesn't have to be repaid. Another advantage of Rowan-Cabarrus is the community college tuition is so much lower than the universities. We have lots of grants to help our low-income students, but also the tuition is lower here.
Yeah.
So another thing is that these grants serve as a foundational program. So like I said before, other grants can stack on top of this. If you get additional scholarships or if you want to do work study as well as get the state grant, you can do multiple things at one time and combine all the funds. So a lot of students come here to Rowan-Cabarrus free.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
which goes back to like the whole idea of college is very attainable for a lot of people who may not think so.
Right.
Also the planning from day one. How am I going to do it? What's the trajectory going to look like? Am I going to go 2 years? What's the first 2 years going to look like? What's my plan for paying for it? Then after those 2 years, if I'm going to go on to 4 years, what's that going to look like? And sometimes we work in collaboration, for example, with the academic advisors we have here who do the transfer program so they can kind of look at, let's plan this out. Let's map this out to see how are you going to pay for it and what that's going to look like together with your financial aid. So we do a lot of behind the scenes work with the academic advisors, all the time with students, especially ones who are planning to like transfer to 4-year colleges.
Right. Yeah. And that's a really good point because we do help students plan financially if they are going to transfer to a 4-year for what we call Pell LEU, which is their lifetime eligibility usage. So there are times that we may say to a student, look, we have this institutional scholarship. We can cover your tuition and stuff here. Say you only have 2 years remaining in your Pell eligibility. Let's save that for when you transfer to UNC Charlotte.
Oh, that's
huge. So we help the student understand the big picture so that their goal is reasonable throughout their whole educational journey, not just here at Rowan-Cabarrus.
Yeah, and the flexibility too with the financial aid where plans change for students as they get into the program. They might start thinking they want to do 2 years and go into the workforce.
Right.
Or they might change their mind halfway through and realize they want to transfer and go even further. I think being able to pair certain financial aid packages for certain times makes a huge impact when you're talking about like the big picture.
Yes.
I think that's the importance of reminding students to come in and see us. They don't have to have an appointment to come see us. They can come see us during normal work hours. They don't need an appointment. They can just do a walk right in to see us. They can call us. Have always somebody on the phones. They can email us. I feel like we're very accessible as a college in our financial aid office. So we encourage students to reach out. Questions are great. We love questions.
For sure.
And so when questions come in, it helps us understand the story. It helps us understand what do you need? How can we help you better? And what do you need from us? What's your plan? Where do you want to go? And how can we work collaboratively with you to make sure you can reach those goals?
So what would be the first steps for students when it comes to applying for financial aid?
So first step would be to create your FSA ID. What this is basically a password, a username for you to sign in to student aid. Once you have an account with student aid, you'll be able to see a lot of information. You'll see grant information, loan information, applications. Once you create that FSA ID, you can go ahead and get started on your FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. That would definitely be your first step. And like I've said, just remember that it's so much more than a form. It's the gateway for all of your financial assistance here at Rowan-Cabarrus. So you do need to complete it every single year. We have.
Oh, okay. It's not a one time.
It's not one time. And we do have a lot of people that do it one time and they think they're good. And that's not how it works. You do it every year. It typically opens in October of the year prior. So for example, this October, the 27-28 application will open.
Okay.
They are year specific. Just remember to do it each year. One way I tell students to remember is when you do your taxes each year, just remember, I need to fill out a new financial aid application this year. Some of the grant funds that we offer are first come, first serve. So I would also recommend the sooner the better. But there's no deadline. So if you decide on August 14th that you want to come to school on August 15th, you can still come and apply for financial aid, and we will help you get through that process so that you can still start school that semester. So there's no real deadline at this point, but do apply as early as you can so that you can maximize all your available funding, help make college more affordable for you.
I think that sets us apart. Rowan-Cabarrus Community College, and I think most community colleges, the universities do have a deadline for when their FAFSAs need to be completed. But at community college, I think Rowan-Cabarrus Community College, we don't have a deadline. So like Allison said, you can come in, do the FAFSA one day, and then the next day you can get started. So it's really important.
Yeah, you can start pretty much any time throughout the year.
Right. And like Michele said earlier, we are here for walk-ins, regular business hours all week, but we also do quite a few community events and events here at Rowan-Cabarrus to help students with the application. Michele has partnered a lot with the Latino community to do events there. If you want to speak a little bit about that.
We partner sometimes with other agencies and community events. In the upcoming this month, we're going to go to a high school and do a Hispanic outreach night where families are invited. There'll be other agencies there to collaborate with us. So there'll be like fun food and events where the families will come in and learn about different activities and things throughout the community and resources. And we again talk about FAFSA. We talk about Rowan-Cabarrus Community College and all the things we have to offer. So it's a great time to get the word out about FAFSA and all the great things we have here.
Right. And just remember, fill out the application even if you think you or your parents make too much money, because there are institutional grants that you could qualify for that are not need-based grants.
Awesome. So what is the best way to contact y'all for personalized support?
The best way is email. I will have to say our team is pretty awesome at responding quickly to our financial aid email, which is fin.aid, A-I-D, @rccc.edu. It is monitored daily. You will get a quick response from there, but also you can always call us and just pop in and see us if you'd like.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us on the podcast today. This was one I was looking forward to for a while. I feel like it's going to be one of those pillar podcast episodes that is just going to be resourceful just way down the road. Like I think we did one on transfer that is hugely popular when it comes to like just packed full of good information. We did one on scholarships. And then this one, if you're looking at jumping into college, if you're coming out of high school, or if you've been out of high school for a while and want to come back, I would definitely recommend those 2 episodes in addition to this one to kind of learn more about like what that process looks like and what your options are. So if you want to know more about financial aid, remember, complete the FAFSA, but also you can visit www.rccc.edu/financial aid to find more information there. So thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Trail Mix. For more stories, updates, and to learn more about how Rowan-Cabarrus Community College can help you navigate forward, visit us at www.rccc.edu. Next time on Trail Mix.
The archives really connect students with the history of the school. It is a record of everything that the college has done with the resources that the community has invested in it. They may not feel as part of the story, but seeing kind of the history and what led to their experiences here can help them feel connected.